But I think on that note, we will move on to the final story because that is a bit much about someone we don't know. And the last story, Eric, it's been a big one here in China today, and that is the story of the Cathay Pacific crew. Now, I'll just fill the lovely viewers in on what happened. Basically, Cathay Pacific is a Hong Kong airline, so it's run out of Hong Kong. They have flights from the Chinese mainland into Hong Kong and out of Hong Kong and all around the world. So there was a flight CX 987. It's not important. That was flying from Sichuan province to Hong Kong. And a mainland Chinese passenger, recorded the Hong Kong flight attendants speaking very rudely about some mainland Chinese passengers who couldn't speak English properly. He recorded that sorry, my cats are jumping around. He recorded that and posted it online, and it's gone viral here today with a lot of people very angry at Cathay Pacific that this could happen. Now, I had a similar situation. I don't know if I've told you this, Eric. Have I told you my situation with Dragon Air, which was a subsidiary of Cathay Pacific? Okay, I'll tell you the story before we go. Basically, I was flying from Shanghai to Hong Kong about 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, at the height of the Hong Kong riots. Now, because most passengers on that plane are from the mainland, they have Hong Kong crew. Now, Mandarin Chinese isn't one of the official languages, I don't think, in Hong Kong. They mostly speak Cantonese. They hire crew who can speak Mandarin to talk with the customers. You want to know what they want to eat, if they need any help. So they speak Mandarin. So I heard the cabin crew coming up from behind, speaking with the passengers in Mandarin Chinese. What do you want to drink something? What do you want to drink? Do you want ice with it? Blah, blah, blah. So then as soon as she got to my side, I told her what I wanted in Mandarin Chinese. And then she just snapped. She was like, I'm from Hong Kong. I don't speak Mandarin. I was like, what the heck? So she's obviously felt some kind of way and didn't want me to think she was a mainlander for some reason. And I was like, I just replied to her in Mandarin Chinese. I was like, were you not just speaking with those people in Mandarin? Don't be so rude. I'll have a Coke Zero with ice, please. And she replied in English again and said, I don't speak Mandarin. I'd literally just heard her speaking Mandarin coming up the plane. And I just decided I'm not going to have this. So I repeated it in Mandarin Chinese, Coke Zero with ice. So she slammed it down, poured the Coke Zero in, started walking away. I was like, with ice. She came back and threw the ice in. She understood every word I was saying. And I just thought that was really disgusting. So there's been an update, and this is on Shanghai Daily as well, because the airline actually apologized yesterday.
And they did it again today, that I know. They apologized twice.
Yes, that's what this story is all about. They've come out with another announcement saying that they've suspended that crew as they do a massive internal investigation that's going to come out, the result of which is coming out in 3 days. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens there. I don't know what you feel about this, Eric, but from someone who is a mainland Chinese, have you encountered this kind of thing before?
I mean, not with Cathay Pacific specifically. Actually, this year, I traveled with them. It was personally a good experience overall. But again, now that we put things in perspective, when we have different cases and experiences to compare, I would say that the singular case does reflect, I think, a lot. Because perhaps, like you said, your experience with one of the crew members showed how she perhaps didn't want to be seen as someone from the Chinese mainland.
Exactly, which goes to show she looks down.
Yeah, I mean, why should that be the case, right? If you're from
British
British
colonialism, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, this is discrimination. It is deeply rooted in their mindset. So that's why she would so intuitively, annoyed when she heard that you were speaking with her in Mandarin Chinese, right? I mean, I had, I think, a good experience because I think I spoke with them in English because I was traveling to the US, so I was getting myself in that language mode. Yes, so I spoke English with them and they had a nice attitude. I'm not sure if that was the main reason. And I would also argue that this varies from person to person. We cannot just say, okay, so this one person from this crew at Cathay Pacific does this, and then everybody at Cathay Pacific or everybody in Hong Kong, right? You can't just snowball like this. It may not reflect everyone, but it does reflect the fact that people are still so deeply entrenched in discrimination and they're not even aware of it. And people are so used to say that English is the only universal language and speaking it sort of reflects superiority. It's such a colonialized mindset. First, people don't have to speak English because English was massively spread to other parts of the world, much because of colonialism, which is, I don't think anyone would argue at something good. And then to learn English, I mean, even in Chinese mainland or in Hong Kong, is more or less a privilege because you need, good educational resources to access a foreign language like this, right? Not everybody has that. And as I think consumers, myself as well, and that victim who was discriminated against, he paid to get services. I think just in a regular market mindset, if you are someone who provides service, at least you should have the basic attitude to provide the most basic services to that person. You are not someone enjoying the power in the cabin to criticize some consumers that have paid for your services, right? So I think it's very very tortured and abnormal mindset, and we definitely should be very aware of this invisible discrimination. Especially related to the languages we speak, because I myself have been learning at least three different languages, and we definitely need to understand the power relations under the language use that we have every day. So speaking English does not give you more superiority. It's just a tool for us to communicate. And,
especially when the English isn't that good. Like we have this comment from T Chiang T who said Hong Kong English is junk. The funny thing is, and I don't want to be a W word, a wanker about it, but she was trying to insist on speaking English with me. For one, she has no clue where I'm from. I could be French, I could be German. Maybe I don't speak English. Yeah. And she was demanding I speak English with her, and her English was actually terrible. And also another thing, some flight attendants can just have a real attitude. It's kind of like, just give me my freaking Coke and don't even talk to me if you're going to be like that, you silly beep. I just want to read this comment because this is interesting. MYM says, Chinese being racist to Chinese. Wow. You'll be surprised. A lot of Westerners feel that, Chinese are just Chinese, but there's so many different groups. There are 56 different groups. Yeah, and even besides that, outside of that, the people in Hong Kong and the people in the mainland are majority Han Chinese anyway, so they're actually from the same group. So this is actually, I wouldn't call it racism, I would call it regionalism. They're looking down on another part of China based on how they feel their part of China is better, or their education's better, their history's better, their standards are better. I think it's absolutely disgusting, and it really boils my blood. I feel so sorry for the people that had to put up with that from that flight crew.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is discrimination. Perhaps I'm not someone who is in the right place to talk about that, but yeah, American people discriminate against American people as well, right?
Exactly.
Especially, say, during voting seasons and all those controversial periods of time. Yeah.
Exactly. It happens all over the world and all across different groups. It's just that some places like to push that kind of division more. Like in the US, they love to divide and conquer. That's why there's so many, I won't get into it, but there's so many identity politics, politic wars going on in the US and the West right now that thankfully are not happening here in China. But that is probably a topic for another live stream session.